Hey everyone, Theo here. Today I'm going to review the XP Pen Artist Pro 16 pen display. This review may be a bit long, so if you want to save time, just check out the text review that I have already written using the link provided in the video description below, or you can use the timestamps provided to jump to different sections of this video. First of all, disclaimer, this is a review unit from XP Pen, so big thanks to them again for providing yet another review unit. And having said that, let me just give you the bottom line up front. This is a good looking pen display with reasonably good build quality. Color accuracy and viewing angles are good, and the matte textured surface is nice to draw on. This year they have introduced a new pen, and this new pen has lower initial activation force. It's so low that you can draw thin lines without really applying any pressure, so I'm quite surprised by that. Cursor tracking is excellent right up to the edge, and now you can use tilt brushes right up to the edge as well. With the pens from previous models, tilt will stop working 1 inch away, so XP Pen has fixed that, and XP Pen has fixed a lot of issues with the pen. So this year they have an excellent pen, and the overall drawing experience is like fantastic. It's just fantastic. I did not experience any glitches with the various drawing softwares that I use, and also the lines, they just come out the way I expect them to. Performance is predictable and consistent. There are no surprises. The only downside would be the brightness, the maximum brightness. I've measured it at 173 nits, which is lower compared to the XP Pen Innovator 16, which was released last year, which has a pretty similar design. And also there is no stand included. So other than those two downsides, this year they have a pretty good product. Let me unbox this to show you what's included. So that's the pen display, and we have all the accessories here. Please note that there is no stand included. XP Pen does sell their own stands, but on the ordering page of the pen display, you have no option to add the stand, so you have to go to another page to add the stand separately if you want to buy a stand from XP Pen. So here we have the power adapter. This is USB, and they have provided all the country-specific plugs. This is a USB Type A extension cord. This is the 3-to-1 cable. This 3 will go to the computer. This is full-size HDMI, this is USB Type A, and we have another USB Type A. If your computer's USB port is able to provide enough power to power the pen display, then you may not need to use this, but if not, you will have to connect this to an external power source. And on the other end, we have the USB Type C that goes to the pen display. This cable is 1.8 meters long, microfiber cleaning cloth, warranty information and quick start guide, one artist glove, and this is the pen case. Build quality for the pen case is excellent. This is metal with a nice matte texture, and you can press here to open this, and this is the new pen XP Pen has included. It comes with an X3 smart chip inside, which is supposed to make the pen more sensitive and make the initial activation force lower. There are 9 replacement nibs included, and that's the nib remover. The pen is made with plastic with a nice matte textured surface. It's not too heavy and not too light, quite comfortable to hold. At the back here is the eraser button. The 2 side buttons here have a nice firm click to them, and this pen nib here has minimal movement. This pen supports tilt sensitivity and slightly over 8,000 levels of pressure sensitivity. It doesn't require battery to work, so no charging is needed. Be careful not to scratch the pen when you take it out of the case. So if you take it out like this part here may actually be scratched by the metal, so it's good to open this whole thing up to remove the pen. So this is the Artist Pro 16. There are some instructions here to tell you to peel off the protective film. Okay, it comes off Make sure the protective film you're peeling off is the glossy one, not the matte surface screen protector. So don't peel this off. Peel this reflective one off. Design of this pen display looks good. It's a simple and clean design. So this design is actually very similar to the XP Pen Innovator 16 pen display, which was released last year, except the color here is darker, whereas the Innovator 16 is a silver color. There are 8 physical shortcut buttons on the side and a touch control here. The buttons have nice firm clicks to them. And this is a circular touchpad that you can use to change brush size or scroll web pages or do whatever function you assign it to. In addition to this touchpad where you can use by moving your finger in a circular motion, there is also an outer ring that you can control. So all these shortcut buttons and the touchpad here are customizable. On the side here we have the USB-C port for the cable. This pen display doesn't support USB-C to C connection. This is the power button. These 2 buttons are for adjusting the brightness. This pen display is very thin. This is just 9mm. This is thinner compared to the pen that is provided. So the top and bottom edges are curved while the sides are flat. And on the back there is nothing, it's just this metal back with a textured surface. Even though the Artist Pro 16 is really thin, please note that this is not a tablet, this is a monitor, so you do have to connect this to a computer in order to use this. Currently I have the pen display connected to this MacBook Air, which only has USB-C ports, and because there is no USB-C to C connection, I have to use this adapter. So I've connected the HDMI and the USB Type-A to this adapter, and this is able to power the pen display. However, this is not able to power the pen display at maximum brightness, so if you need this to be brighter, you have to connect the red colored USB Type-A port to an external power source. Or if for some reason your computer is not able to power the pen display, then you will have to use this. If you want to power the pen display using that USB port, the display is not that bright, and also there is this electric buzzing sound coming from the port here. And this sound, the volume of the sound or noise, is directly correlated to the brightness. So if you reduce the brightness, the sound would actually go away, but of course the display will become dimmer. So you have to use this, you have to connect this to an external power source, and that would remove the noise as well as make the display brighter. This display looks visibly brighter after connecting it to an external power source, and the electric buzzing noise is gone. Colors look good out of the box. Using a Spider 5 Pro color calibrator, I measured color support for 98% sRGB, 96% NTSC, 98% Adobe RGB, and 90% P3. So this is a rather color accurate display. The maximum brightness from what I've measured is 173 nits, which is actually lower compared to the Innovator 16. But the color accuracy for this model is better compared to the Innovator 16. This is an IPS panel, so viewing angles are quite good. Colors don't shift much when viewed from the angle. So this is the anti-glare of the matte screen protector. As long as you don't have lights pointing directly at the display, it's fine. Most of the time it's going to look like this. Resolution on this 15.4-inch display is 1080p, so there will be some pixelation. 1080p resolution is still a very usable resolution. You can have palettes on the left and right side, and you still have a good amount of canvas space to work with. When compared to an A4 size paper, you can see the display is wider but shorter. The display is laminated, so there is no gap between the drawing surface and the LCD beneath. So when you're drawing, it really looks like the line is appearing from directly beneath the pen tip. The pen display being so thin may confuse some people and make them think that this is a tablet, but it does not support finger gestures. This is not a touch screen. The side buttons here work pretty well. I can use this dial here to adjust the zoom. I can use the touchpad here to adjust the brush size, and they work really well. And these are quite useful if you need them. This pen display does not come with a stand, so you have to buy a stand separately. I do not recommend using this pen display flat on a table because it's not good for posture, and also you may scratch the back. Remember, there are no rubber feet on the back. So this stand that I'm using, this is the Pablo PR100 stand, which is a really nice stand because you can use this latch here to push this down at a rather low angle. And if you want to use your pen display to watch a movie, you can prop this up. This is almost vertical. I'll have links to where you can find this in the video description below. So the cable comes out here. I'm not sure if it's nice or what, but the cable seems to be quite thick, so I hope it's durable. If you are left-handed, then you would obviously have to turn this around, in which case you have to have the cable pointing up, in which case this will actually block the power button and the brightness buttons, but doesn't really matter because when you switch off your computer, this will power off by itself. Let's see what the driver can do. This pen display has drivers for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. The functionality for the Windows and Mac driver is essentially the same except for the Windows driver. There is this additional Windows Ink functionality which you may have to toggle on or off if pressure is not working as expected. I don't use Linux, so I can't tell you how good the driver is. So here is where you can calibrate the pen display if for some reason the cursor doesn't appear directly beneath the pen tip. Then you will have to calibrate. By default, the cursor should be directly beneath the pen tip. So under this pen tablet pen display tab, there is this display settings button. So this allows you to change the color temperature, the RGB, the brightness, and the contrast. There is no way to adjust color temperature, RGB, and contrast using the side buttons because those are only for adjusting the brightness, and you cannot get into the OSD because there is no OSD. For some reason, the Mac OS driver does not have this button that allows you to adjust these color settings. I'm not sure why. And also sometimes this button may not appear with the Windows driver. I actually had to restart to show this button. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there. This is where you can customize the pen, the two side buttons, as well as the eraser on the back. I have one of the buttons here changed to switch display. So these are all the customizable options. You can choose predefined options or you can enter your own keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to have this side button here map to switch monitor so that I can use this pen display together with my laptop. And here you can customize the pressure curve by moving the 3 control points. This is nice. This is where you can customize the 8 physical shortcut buttons and the 2 functionality for the touchpad and the rotating dial. And here again you can customize specific keyboard shortcuts, or you can choose from the predefined functions or shortcuts. Oh, this is where you can customize the roller. Oh, they call this the roller. Anyway, you can customize up to 4 functionality for the touchpad and the exterior dial. Let's say you have set 2 functionality to this rotating dial here. So I have set zoom and brush size. So to switch between the 2 functionality, you have to set one of the buttons here to switch the function, which I've already done so. And when you press the button, this label will appear to show you which function you are using. And now for some line quality test. So this new pen from XP Pen is using their so-called X3 Smart Chip. They have a lot of marketing on their website. Here's the bottom line. It now has a much lower initial activation force. So I'm going to hold the pen right here and just draw on the surface without applying any pressure. So I'm not applying any pressure. As long as the pen tip touches the display, it can draw a line, even if you don't apply any pressure, because right now it's actually using the weight of the pen itself to draw. So initial activation force is fantastic. This is how thick that brush really is. By the way, the matte screen protector provides a nice tactile surface to draw on, but note that it's a screen protector, so it's going to scratch eventually, especially if you're someone who draws with heavy pressure. Initial activation force of this new pen is lower compared to other pens that XP Pen has made in the past. So now it's easier to draw thinner lines by applying very light or no pressure. This is how thick the line really is. The lines can also taper quite nicely. This is the thin to thick transition, and the transition is quite smooth. So I can get thin lines and thick lines very easily. Let's see how good the pen is at maintaining consistent pressure to draw lines with consistent widths. This is me drawing with very light pressure, so I'm going to press down a bit harder. And it does seem like the pen is able to maintain consistent pressure easily. Placing dots by just tapping doesn't work that well with Medibank Paint Pro. Sometimes the dots just won't appear. This is Clip Studio Paint, and drawing dots here works fine. Tilt sensitivity works fine, and I'm happy to report that tilt sensitivity can now work right at the edge of the pen display. This wasn't possible with some of XP Pen's earlier pen displays. Tilt sensitivity would stop working like 1 inch away, but now you can draw right to the edge, and also cursor tracking is quite accurate even at the extreme edges. So here you can see even at the extreme edge, the cursor is still directly beneath the pen tip. With some pen displays, when the pen tip is near the edge, sometimes the cursor may stray a few pixels away, but this is exceptionally accurate. Let me draw something real quick and talk more about the drawing experience. So I am drawing some drafting lines first. The initial activation force is really low. Right now I am actually not applying much pressure. I'm drawing with very minimal pressure, and I can get the lines to come out just the way I expect them to. Usually, or should I say traditionally, it's the pen tablets, you know, those tablets without any displays. It's those pen tablets that have really low initial activation force. So with this pen, this time I think XP Pen has managed to match the low initial activation force of those pen tablets. And by those pen tablets, I mean tablets from Wacom, from Huion, from even XP Pen themselves. Another advantage of having low initial activation force is since you don't have to apply so much pressure, since you don't have to press down that hard to draw thicker lines, it's less likely to scratch the screen protector. The app that I'm using here is Medibank Paint Pro, and this app performs really well. You can expect the same performance with other drawing apps. I have tested Adobe Photoshop, Affinity Photo, Clip Studio Paint, Krita, Adobe Illustrator, Affinity Designer, and they all perform really well. Pressure and Tilt works with all those apps. There are no glitches, at least I did not experience any glitches with those apps that I have tested, so my overall drawing experience is very positive. I was able to get the lines to come out exactly the way I expect them, that I want them to. Performance is very consistent, very predictable. There are no surprises. This matte surface screen protector has a nice texture to it. I do enjoy drawing on this surface. The pen is not that slippery. It's not exactly paper-like, but the main thing is the pen is not that slippery, so I do have a good amount of control. I can draw slowly and the pen will not waver. Sometimes on really slippery or glossy displays, when I draw, the pen may actually slide away, but here I can get very good control, so that's great. And because cursor tracking is accurate, I can join lines like this very easily. Sometimes with pen displays that have misalignment issues or pen displays that do not have laminated displays, when you try to join the lines like this, sometimes there is a gap there, but with this new pen, it's very easy to join those lines easily. The drawing experience is really good. The only thing that can improve the drawing experience further is to get a good stand, because as mentioned earlier, this pen display doesn't come with a stand. And the stands that XP Pen sells, they are not that good in the sense that, the build quality of XP Pen stands are good, but they can only be deployed at one angle. I think there is another stand that can deploy at a few angles, but for this stand that I mentioned earlier, the Pablo PR100, this can deploy at whatever angle you want. By the way, XP Pen has recently also launched another 16-inch pen display, which features a touch screen. I have also reviewed that, so if you guys are interested to check out that review, just visit the link to that review in the video description below. This is how the pen tip sounds on the surface. The eraser works fine, but there doesn't seem to be a way for me to make this a soft eraser. So by default it's a hard eraser, so let me just choose the soft eraser here. The input lag, it's very typical of pen displays. I don't really have much to say, doesn't really affect my work. I guess if you draw like really fast, you can see the line trying to catch up with the pen tip. But with my normal drawing speed, which is what you see here, the input lag seems fine to me. I was able to map the rotation to the exterior down, so let me just rotate this canvas so that it's easier to draw these parallel lines. This display doesn't produce much heat. The only area where it's slightly warm is this small area here. Now this pen display is so thin that if I press down on the side here, I can actually see some ripple effects. Can you see that? The ripple effect only happens at the two sides, not at the top and bottom. And don't worry about placing your palm on the display. There is no ripple effect. It's just when you press down, you can see the effect. Right, to conclude, let me just quickly run through the things I like and dislike. I like the design, I like how color accurate this display is. The drawing performance is fantastic. This year they have a really good pen that is very sensitive and very accurate. So the overall drawing experience is really good. And I like the matte textured drawing surface, which is really nice to draw with. The things I don't like, well, I wish the display could be brighter, but this is still sufficient brightness for indoor use, and there is no stand included, which doesn't really bother me because I have my own stand. But if you don't already have a stand, then you have to spend extra money to get that. So overall, I would give this product a 4.5 out of 5, with the only main downside being it could be brighter. I hope this review is helpful. If you guys are going to buy this pen display, consider using the affiliate links that I have for you in the video description below. I earn some commission through each purchase at no extra cost to you, and that would help me create more videos like this that you are watching on my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. See you guys again. Bye.